This episode is sponsored by Upbidder, the price protection tool that lets sellers defend their auction prices with the kind of confidence usually reserved for people who say, I'll just do it myself. Auctions can be brutal. You list something valuable, and suddenly the bidding crowd collectively decides it's worth the same as a half eaten donut. That's where Upbidder steps in. Your secret weapon for keeping your item's value where it belongs. Upbidder lets you give your item the respect it deserves, even if the bidders don't. Create the illusion of fierce competition, because nothing attracts real bidders like imaginary ones. Avoid bargain bin heartbreak. Your sanity deserves a premium. And here's the kicker. Even doctors use Upbidder. Yep, because when Dr. Stevens lists his vintage medical equipment, he's not letting it go for $12 in a firm handshake. He's using Upbidder to keep things healthy, financially healthy. Upbidder, because sometimes the best bidder is still you. And apparently, your doctor agrees. Our second sponsor of the day, Canadian Cards Autographed Sports Card Supplies. The only company bold enough to say, hey, if athletes are going to sign the sleeve instead of the card, we might as well sell the sleeve. Here's how it happened. Mike at Canadian Cards sends out cards to get autographed, normal hobby stuff. But every now and then, an athlete, maybe in a rush or maybe just vibing too hard, grabs the marker and signs the sleeve, not the card, not even close, just the plastic. And Mike thought, huh, that's actually kind of amazing. Then he thought, wait, can I make a business out of this? And the answer was a resounding yes. Now he sells authentic athlete signed sleeves because the signature is real even if the aim wasn't. One of a kind plastic collectibles, perfect for fans who appreciate chaos and ink. Supplies for collectors who've seen everything except this because nobody saw this coming. Canadian Cards, turning autograph accidents into autograph assets. Now on to the show. So this is actually this is kind of like I don't know, I wouldn't call it necessarily a shout out video per se, but I do have a couple of quick shout outs that I want to address right off the bat here. So I want to shout out my nephews, Briar and Bowen, who started YouTube channels this summer, and they're both putting some work in and having a good time with it. Their channels are Briar Davis, the Bug Lover, and then Bowen's channel is called Bowen Sports. I just think it's really cool that they're being creative. They're having a lot of fun. So if you guys out there have kids that are looking for some fun content, give these guys a try because, well, I mean, honestly, they're better at this than I am. So the topic that I wanted to kind of briefly discuss today is I was thinking about who are some of the channels, like YouTube sports card channels in particular, that looking back, I just miss the channel because either they don't put out a lot of content anymore, or they just, don't put out any at all. So I wrote down a couple of channels, and one of them is Blue Jacket 66. It's been a long time since Dave put out a video, and there was a lot of stuff that I always looked forward to in a Dave video. You knew you were going to get some snarkiness, which I appreciate. You knew that you were probably going to learn something. He was either going to show you a card from his collection that you probably didn't know much about or probably had never seen. So he made me want to go research cards that he had shown and just learn more about some of these sets. And, just a wealth of knowledge, Dave, and just a great guy. And each time I do one of these videos, I kinda I wanna keep a streak going of at least showing a card each video, even though, we're primarily gonna be talking just absolute garbage, nonsense on here. But this card that I wanna show, this has to do with Dave, actually. Um, I've told this story before on the channel, but, a few years back, we were all at the National, and I get a phone call, and I look down, and it's Dave, and, we had already been hanging out and stuff throughout the show, but I was like, "Oh, cool," maybe Dave found a card that, he thought I might be interested in, or maybe he just wants to go have lunch like him and Caden. And, anyways, when Dave calls, you answer. So I answered. And he's like, "Hey, we're over here on such and such aisle. Can you meet me over here?" I was like, yeah, on my way, buddy." And so I get over there and he hands me this just absolutely gorgeous 1970 Topps Pete Maravich rookie. And I was, just kind of floored. I was like, you know, who does this, right? Like, I mean, this is the back of the card. Just an awesome rookie card of the pistol. And you know, Dave just happened to come across this card, and for whatever reason, man, he thought of me and he just like decided to buy it for me. So uh yeah. So I'll forever be grateful to have this card in my collection. And Dave and his son Caden, they're just such great people. And yeah, I was just I wish Dave made more videos because they're great, and you know, just love Dave. So second channel I thought of, you're probably not gonna learn a lot from this well, you're not gonna learn anything from this channel, but you are gonna be entertained, you are gonna laugh, and that is Mark, Stove Sports. And we'll just go ahead and throw the next channel in there with him because these guys were just like, two knuckleheads. That's Mr. Bob Lewis. And I'll occasionally see Bob on either Carlos's channel or Insert Revolution podcast. But, I haven't seen I think Bob may do like a YouTube Hall of Fame video yearly, but not a lot of Bob Lewis videos over the last couple years. And I really miss the Cardboard podcast. I mean, what just a absolute disaster of a show that was, and I loved every minute of it. So I wish that those guys would come back and produce some content. Um, just two of the nicest guys too in the hobby. I've had the pleasure of hanging out with both of those guys at the National over the years, and yeah, I wish they would, man. Just do it, guys. Make it happen. And then the last channel that I thought of is a little more obscure channel, and this guy had a channel. His channel started roughly around the same time I did, and this is back when, there wasn't like, 2,000,000 YouTube channels out there, sports cards anyway, and so stuff was a little bit easier to navigate, and, you if people made sports card videos, you probably found them back then because there wasn't as many of us. But this guy was Rocky Avelli, and if you guys never saw any of his videos, he was just a funny guy, man. Like, I don't really know what it was about him. Like, he just had that natural humor to him. Like, it wasn't like he was necessarily telling jokes or trying to be funny. He just was funny. And I don't know, I just always liked that. But his channel is still up, so if any of you guys want to go check it out, I would highly recommend it. I was recommend all these guys to go back and watch their old videos. I mean, you're gonna learn stuff, you're gonna laugh, and yeah. So I would just like to see some of these channels back, and let me know if you guys have some channels like that that you just kind of yeah, maybe you haven't thought about them in a while, but you just kind of miss them and wish they would come back or make more videos or whatever. But that's yeah, these guys were all great. Speaking of videos, are you thinking about starting a serious sports card podcast? Of course you are, because at this point, it's basically a requirement for anyone who's ever owned a top loader, argued about centering, or said the phrase pop report in casual conversation. Welcome to the Sports Card Podcaster Starter Kit, where we teach you how to join the ever growing army of people who woke up one day and said, you know what the world needs? My opinions on cardboard. Here's what you'll need: a dramatic intro theme, preferably something that makes your listeners feel like they're about to watch the NFL draft, not hear you talk about a PSA 7. A microphone that looks expensive, even if you bought it on sale and it's held together with painter's tape. Let's cover that up. You're going to need a co-host. Ideally, someone who disagrees with you about everything so you can argue about whether a refractor is actually rare. A segment called Market Watch, where you confidently explain price trends using absolutely no formal economics training. You're going to need a hot take. Something bold, like base cards are making a comeback, or the hobby is actually fine, guys. And remember, to be a serious sports card podcaster, you must sound like you're delivering breaking news, even when you're just reading eBay comps from last Tuesday. Because, hey, everyone's doing it these days. Your neighbor's doing it. Your barber's doing it. Your cousin who still thinks NFTs are coming back is definitely doing it. So grab your mic, warm up your vocal cords, and get ready to become the next big voice in the hobby. The Sports Card Podcaster Starter Kit. If you've got opinions, congratulations. You're already halfway to a podcast. Our final sponsor today, Breaker Bodyworks, the first physical therapy clinic built specifically for sports card breakers, because let's be honest, your body has been filing complaints for months. Breakers, you're not okay. You've been ripping wax like it's an Olympic sport, except you have none of the conditioning and all of the injuries. Let's talk about some of the classics. Breaker shoulder syndrome, caused by holding hits up to the camera for 45 seconds while saying sheesh, like you're summoning a spirit. Top loader thumb fatigue, because you've sleeved so many cards, your thumb has legally filed for workers' comp. Pack rip wrist trauma, that aggressive twist you do like you're trying to start a lawnmower. Breaker lower back collapse, from leaning over your desk like a gremlin who hasn't seen sunlight since the last product release. Breaker Bodyworks knows the truth. You're out here ripping cases like you're 22, but your joints are sending emails that say, we are not built for this. That's why they offer stretches for people who sit too long, because your chair is basically a medieval torture device at this point. Thumb rehab for chronic sleevers, perfect for anyone who's ever said, I'll sleeve it later, and immediately lied. Recovery routines for post-break regret, because after your 6-hour marathon break, your spine is shaped like a question mark. Breaker Bodyworks, because ripping packs shouldn't require an MRI. All right, guys, that concludes today's episode. I usually try to keep these around 10 minutes. We went a little bit longer today. Hopefully everyone stuck with me, but yeah, let me know some of the sports card YouTube channels that you miss seeing, and we'll see if we can get some of these people back. All right, guys, we'll catch you on the next one.